Well, happening now, a new day in the Senate. Yesterday, the president's $447 billion jobs bill died in a procedural vote. But that doesn't mean it's over completely. Congress may try to pass parts of this bill after cutting it up into smaller pieces. So one of the questions we're asking today, are there any parts of this bill that can be salvaged and that Republicans will vote for? Let's ask Republican Senator Barrrasso of Wyoming. He's a vice chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. Senator, nice to have you back with us.
Thanks, Jenna.
Is there parts of this plan that you'd like to see get through the Senate?
Absolutely. Specifically, the parts that have to do with tax credits for wounded warriors, getting them back to work. There are things that we can talk about, and I want to work together with others to get people back to work. I want to find ways to make it easier and cheaper for the private sector to create jobs in America. But, you know, the president had said, hey, take it or leave it about a month ago, and yesterday in a bipartisan vote, all of the Republicans in the Senate, as well as a number of Democrats, voted against this bill that the president put forward, which to me was just a tax and spend approach.
As far as the payroll tax cuts, that's part of this plan, this larger plan. That's something that the president has pointed to and other Democrats to say, hey, look, Republicans liked this before. Why don't they like it now? Are you for these payroll tax cuts?
Absolutely, and I think that they should be done permanently. You know, what the president in his take it or leave it bill said is it would be a temporary, just a temporary issue, as you just raised, coupled with a permanent, long-term, permanent increase in taxes, and that's a bad trade-off. That's a bad bet for the American people. You know, I want to look for ways to make it cheaper, doing tax reform, make it easier and cheaper to create private sector jobs. But the president's, to take it all or not at all wasn't the way to go, and in a bipartisan way, we've defeated that.
So let's just pick up a little bit on that issue, though. If you were for this payroll tax cut, which you say that you are, first of all, how would you pay for it? And second of all, what kind of timeline do you see for getting something like that through the Senate so that it can start helping create jobs in this country?
Well, you know, overall, what you want to do is have higher tax revenue by having more people working. We have 14 million Americans looking for work. 4 million haven't worked for over a year, Jenna, and that's a big concern. I think the president ought to be paying more attention to the unemployment lines than he's paying to the campaign trail. I'm very concerned about this economy, getting people back to work, but we do know what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is more borrowing and spending and over-regulation and threatening to raise taxes. So we shouldn't go down that road again.
You brought up the timing of this all. Obviously, we're getting into that campaign season already, nearly a year out from the presidential election, but the elections for many other representatives as well. What is the game plan? How realistic is it that we're actually going to see Congress come together, come with a cohesive plan about job growth, and start seeing job creation? Is it even possible in your mind before the election in 2012 to do that?
Well, I think you're going to see a bipartisan vote today in the Senate for the free trade agreements with Colombia, with South Korea, and with Panama. That's going to be a bipartisan effort. I want to work with the president when he said he wants to get rid of these unnecessary, expensive regulations. But yet in September alone, Jenna, this administration came out with $10 billion in new regulations, impact on businesses, over 300 new regulations. So I agree with a lot of the president's rhetoric. I just don't agree with the reality of what his administration is doing.
Senator, nice to have your perspective on this. It's a story we're going to continue to follow. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, Jenna.